The Galactic War Academy was a giant structure floating above the green moon of Zelthar Prime. It was home to more than 10,000 cadets from over 60 alien species. They came to learn tactics, weapons, and history of the galaxy's many wars. Some were fast, some were strong, some had telepathy. All of them believed they were the future of the galaxy. On that day, the history class was filled with noise. Cadets talked, laughed, and passed notes across their desks. The instructor, a tall four-armed Vortak named Commander Drex, entered the room. His eyes glowed yellow, and his voice sounded like metal scraping stone. "Quiet," he ordered. The class fell silent. Today's lesson was about the Sarkin Uprising, a bloody conflict that happened 30 years ago. The Sarkins were a reptilian warrior race who believed only the strong should rule. They had rebelled against the Galactic Council and destroyed several planets before being pushed back. Drex tapped on the console. A giant screen lit up behind him. "This footage," he said, "is from the Battle of Bara Fif. It is classified. You will not find it in your public records." The cadets leaned forward, curious. The video began. Dust and fire covered the battlefield. Alien soldiers ran, screaming as Sarkan warriors cut through them with energy blades. One by one, they fell. Then, a figure appeared through the smoke. It was tall, wearing black armor. Its face was hidden behind a helmet. It walked calmly, even as blaster shots flew by. "What species is that?" a purple-skinned cadet asked. Commander Drex didn't answer. The armored figure charged forward. It moved fast, too fast. One punch knocked a Sarkin across the field. Another was thrown into the air. The figure grabbed a dropped plasma rifle and fired with perfect aim. Every shot hit a target. No wasted motion, no hesitation. The room fell silent. The figure was alone, but it didn't retreat. It fought through waves of enemies, using fists, weapons, and even the terrain to win. At one point, it used a dead Sarkin's body as a shield. One cadet whispered, "That's not possible!" Finally, the last Sarkin warrior tried to flee. The armored figure threw a knife from 20 meters away. It hit the target between the eyes. Smoke and silence filled the screen. The figure stood alone among the dead. Then it turned its head toward the camera. The visor shined red. It walked away. The screen went black. No one spoke. Drex stood still. "That," he said, "was the only known survivor of Bara V. His name is unknown. Species unknown. His enemies called him the Ghost." The silence grew heavy. A cadet laughed nervously. "That's fake, right? No one could do that." Others began to chuckle. "Some kind of training sim?" said a lizard-like student. "Or propaganda?" "It was real," Drex said, "but it was buried. Until now." In the back of the room, one cadet had not laughed or spoken. He was new, transferred just a week ago. He sat with his arms folded, eyes lowered. His name tag read, John Reen. 1. Student, a winged alien named Velra, turned toward him. "Hey," she said. "Human. That thing in the video. Looked kinda like you." John looked up. His face was calm, almost bored. "Did it?" Another cadet, a bulky, blue-skinned warrior, sneered. "You humans are weak. That couldn't be you." John shrugged. "Okay." The class laughed again. Then Commander Drex walked forward. He stopped beside John and stared. "Cadet Wren," he said slowly. "Stand up." John stood. The room fell quiet again. The air grew tense. Drex spoke in a low voice. "Have you been to Bara Fif?" John looked him in the eye. "Yes." Gasps filled the room. Drex narrowed his eyes. "How did you survive?" Owa answered simply. "I fought," someone whispered. "No way!" Another cadet dropped his datapad. Commander Drex didn't say another word. He stared at John for a long moment, then nodded once and returned to the front. "That's enough for today," he said. "Class dismissed." Outside the classroom, the hallways buzzed with whispers. Cadets looked at John differently now. Some avoided eye contact, others stared too long. One brave student tried to ask him a question, but John ignored him and kept walking. Velra, the winged girl, caught up with him. "Hey, that was really you, wasn't it?" John didn't stop. "Does it matter?" She flew beside him. "It does if the rest of the footage is true." John stopped walking. He turned to her slowly. His voice was quiet but heavy. "They didn't show you what happened after the battle." "What happened?" John looked into her eyes. "I was ordered to disappear. No medals, no reports, no recognition." "Why?" He didn't answer. Velra lowered her voice. "Why are you here now? Why come to the academy if you've already fought in a real war?" John's answer was simple. "Because I want peace." Later that night, inside his room, John looked at a small metal cube on his desk. He pressed a button, and the cube projected, a hologram of an older man in military uniform. "Ran," the message said. "If you're watching this, you made it to the academy. Good. You've done enough. Keep your head down. Don't reveal yourself. If the council finds out what we did during the war, they'll come for you." The message ended. John sat in silence. He was not just a soldier. He was part of a secret Earth unit, trained in silence, tested in war, and then erased from history. Earth had agreed to hide its true power to join the Galactic Council, but sometimes ghosts from the past refused to stay hidden. The next morning, John entered the cafeteria. Everything went quiet. Cadet stepped aside as he walked through. He sat alone at a table. From across the room, Velra watched. She whispered, "To a friend?" "He doesn't look dangerous." Her friend whispered back, "Maybe that's what makes him dangerous." In a dark corner, another cadet, wearing a hidden earpiece, tapped a button on his wrist. The signal was sent. Far above the planet, on a hidden Sarkin ship, a reptilian officer read the message. "Target confirmed. The ghost is alive. He's at the academy." The officer smiled. "Good," he hissed. "Prepare the team. The hunt begins." The next day, the Galactic War Academy felt different. Where there used to be noise, there was silence. Where there used to be laughter, there were whispers. Everyone now looked at John Wren, the human cadet, with careful eyes. Even the instructors changed their tone. No more yelling, no more orders barked at him like he was just another rookie. Now, when John walked into a room, people either stared or moved away. The footage had done its job, but John didn't care about their fear. He cared about staying invisible. And now, it was already too late. In the Academy control tower, Commander Drex sat alone in his office reviewing files. He opened a sealed archive marked Level Red, Council Eyes Only. Inside were video clips, reports, and weapon logs from the Sarkon uprising. He watched one clip again. John ran, moving through fire, killing without hesitation. He whispered to himself, "What did Earth create?" Then he tapped his communicator. "Get me the council, immediately." Meanwhile, John sat under a tree on the training field. It was a quiet spot away from the buildings, with soft grass and a view of the stars. Velra found him there. She landed softly, folding her wings behind her. "You didn't come to flight tactics," John replied without looking at her. "Didn't need to, I figured." She sat beside him, curious. "You really fought in the war?" He nodded. "Were you born a soldier?" "No," he said. "I was made one." Velra didn't understand. "What do you mean?" John sighed. After Earth's first contact with the Sarkans, a program was created, secret, illegal, even by Earth's own laws. Children were trained since birth. Trained to fight in wars Earth wasn't officially part of. I was one of them. Velra's eyes widened. "Why would they do that?" "Because the Galactic Council told Earth to stay out. But Earth saw what? the Sarkans were doing to innocent colonies. So, we helped. In silence. Velra was quiet for a while. Then she asked, "And now you're here? Why?" "I want peace," John said. "I want to stop being a weapon." At the same time, in the deep mechanical levels beneath the academy, 3 strangers walked past security. Their faces were hidden by cloaks. They wore maintenance badges, but they were not engineers. One of them removed a device from his coat. It blinked red. "He's here," the tallest one said. "Are we clear to engage?" "Not yet. Wait for the signal." They were Sarkan agents, trained assassins, sent by the Sarkan High Command to erase the ghost, before the galaxy found out what humans really were. Back in the student dorms, John walked through the hallway when he noticed something strange. His door was slightly open. He hadn't left it. Like that. John entered slowly. He scanned the room. Nothing looked touched, except one thing. His metal cube was missing. The message from Earth. Gone. John's eyes narrowed. Someone knew. He opened his desk drawer and reached beneath a false panel. Inside was a small tracker. He pressed a button. A red dot appeared on a small screen. The cube was moving toward the lower decks. John stood, locked the door behind him, and vanished into the shadows. In the Academy's underground maintenance tunnels, the cloaked agents walked with the stolen cube. They reached a quiet corner and opened a communications channel. "We have the device. Preparing for extraction." Suddenly, the lights flickered. One of the agents turned. "Did you hear that?" "No." Then, crack. A metal pipe slammed down, hitting the first agent across the skull. He fell before he could even scream. The second agent spun around, blaster in hand, but too slow. John leapt from the ceiling, kicked the weapon aside, and landed a punch that cracked bone. The last agent raised his blade. "Ghost!" John smiled coldly. "Still remember me?" They fought in the dark. Blades sparked. Fists struck. John took 2 hits, but didn't fall. He used the wall for momentum, flipped behind the attacker, and slammed him into the floor. Silence. 3 bodies lay at his feet. John picked up his cube and turned off the tracker. Then he checked the agents. No ID, no data. Only one thing was clear. They were Sarkan. Back in his dorm, John patched up a small cut on his shoulder. His eyes stared at the cube in silence. They had found him faster than he expected. He needed to act before things got worse. The next morning, Velra knocked on his door. It opened slowly. She looked at him. "You're hurt." John didn't deny it. "I was attacked." "Who?" "Sarkans." Velra stepped inside, worried. "You need to tell someone." "No," John said. "I can't. If I go to the council, they'll erase me again." "Why?" "Because I know things," John said. "Things they want hidden." Velra thought for a moment, then said, "You don't have to do this alone." John looked at her. "Why do you care?" "Because I've seen real soldiers. I've seen killers. You're not like them. You're tired. You don't want war." He nodded once. "I'll help," she said. Later that day, John met with 2 more cadets. Velra had brought them secretly. One was a sarcastic insectoid pilot named Krizik. The other was a young noble from the Avax Empire, Prince Dalen. They all sat in an empty storage room under the mess hall. John told them the truth, about the secret war, about Earth's hidden army, and about the Council's silence. At first, they didn't believe it, but when he showed them the stolen Sarkan weapon from the attack, they listened carefully. Krizik buzzed. "So we're in a spy story now?" John didn't smile. "It's not a story, it's my life." Prince Dalen nodded slowly. "We'll help you." That night, across the galaxy, a Sarkan warlord stood in front of a large hologram showing John's academy profile. He hissed, "The ghost lives." The council won't move fast enough. We'll do it ourselves. He turned to his commander. Send the death unit, and make sure the academy burns. Back on the moon, inside the academy's security center, an officer looked at a screen showing camera feeds from the tunnels. He paused, noticing something strange. 3 dead bodies now missing. He called Commander Drex. Sir, we have a problem. In the shadows of the library, John stood with his new allies. This isn't just about me, he said. It's about what the council is hiding. Velra nodded. What's your plan? We expose them. How? Prince Dalen asked. John opened his cube and pulled out a small chip. This, he said, has the real footage. Not the short clip you saw in class, the full version, including the part where Earth forces arrive and council ships retreat. Krizik's antennas twitched. If the galaxy sees that, John nodded, then they'll know. Earth didn't start the war, but we ended it, and the council buried it. Velra asked, what if they come after us? John looked toward the sky. They already are. The night sky above the Galactic War Academy looked calm, but above the clouds, hidden in darkness, a ship moved without a sound. It had no markings, no lights, no ID. It was a Sarkin deathcraft. Inside, 6 elite assassins sat in silence. These were not soldiers. These were killers, trained since birth to hunt, torture, and erase targets quietly. Their mission was clear. Find the human. Kill him. Leave no trace. Their ship slowly descended, hiding behind the tall mountains near the academy. The hunt had begun. Inside the academy, John Wren couldn't sleep. He sat on the floor of his room cleaning a small combat knife. The blade was old, scratched, burnt in places, but it still cut like new. It had saved his life many times, and tonight, it would probably do it again. Suddenly, his communicator buzzed. It was Velra. Her voice was shaking. John, something's wrong. There's movement outside the flight hangar, but no patrols were sent there tonight. John stood quickly. Stay in your room. Lock your door. What about you? I'm going hunting. Minutes later, John moved through the dark hallways, silent like a shadow. He wore a black academy jacket over simple training gear. No armor, no helmet, only his knife and his eyes. He moved past classrooms, stairwells, and locked doors. His ears listened for sounds. His mind mapped every route. Near the flight hangar, he paused. There were fresh footprints on the floor, heavy boots, not academy standard. He crouched near a wall panel and tapped the emergency override. The security feed flickered to life. He saw them, 6 figures, cloaked, armed, moving in a perfect combat formation. They're here, he whispered. He turned off the feed and moved. Elsewhere in the academy, Velra paced in her room. Her wings twitched with worry. Krizik and Prince Dalen were with her, watching a small screen. The hangar is our weak spot, Krizik said. Too many exits, no cameras, no patrols. And John's going alone, Velra added. Prince Dalen stood. Then we follow him. Velra looked at him. You're a noble. Are you ready to fight? Dalen smiled calmly. My family rules 1,000 stars, but I won't let a friend die while I hide behind titles. Krizik laughed. All right, let's go be heroes then. They grabbed their gear and rushed out. Back in the hangar, the assassins split into pairs, searching every corner. They moved fast and quiet. One stopped at a stack of fuel tanks. He turned to signal his partner, but his partner was gone. He blinked. Huh? Then, crack! A hand grabbed his mouth. A blade slid into his side. No scream, just silence. John pulled the body behind the crates and disappeared again. The second pair moved toward the upper walkway. One held a scanner. No human in range, he growled. That was a mistake. John dropped from above like a falling star. He kicked one assassin over the railing. The other turned just in time to take a punch straight to the throat. The impact shattered his trachea. He fell, gasping. Two more down. John kept moving. His blood was cold. His mind was sharp. He didn't feel tired. He didn't feel fear. This was what he was trained for. The last two Sarkans finally realized something was wrong. 4 of their team had gone silent. They regrouped near the center of the hangar. Then, they heard footsteps. One of them aimed his blaster. "Show yourself!" A voice echoed through the shadows. "Calm, cold, human. You're the hunters. But you don't know who you're hunting." Suddenly, something rolled across the floor. A flash bomb. Boom! Blinding light filled the room. By the time the Sarkans could see again, John was already between them. He grabbed the first one's arm, twisted it backward, and used the blaster to shoot the other assassin in the leg. Then he threw the weapon away and used his knife. The fight was fast, and then it was over. John stood over the last assassin, bleeding but alive. He looked down. "Who sent you?" The Sarkin growled. "You should have stayed hidden, Ghost. Now! The galaxy will burn for your mistake." John's eyes narrowed. "No, you came here to silence the truth. But I'm done hiding." He raised his fist and knocked the Sarkin out cold. Just then, Velra, Krizik, and Dalen rushed in. They stopped. When they saw the scene, 6 Sarkin assassins, all defeated. John stood in the middle, blood on his jacket, breathing heavy but calm. Velra's voice trembled. "You fought them all, alone?" John looked at her. "I told you, I was made for this," Krizik whistled. "Remind me never to surprise you in the dark." Prince Dalen nodded. "This attack proves one thing. They're scared. They're afraid the truth will come out." Velra asked, "What now?" John looked up. "Now, we strike back." They dragged the unconscious Sarkin to a hidden storeroom and tied him down. Dalen hacked the security feed to erase any trace of the fight. Velra patched John's wounds. Then, they searched the bodies. Each assassin carried a single command chip. John plugged one into his cube. A message played. Target, human known as Ghost. Objective, eliminate. Authorization, Sarkan High Command. Velra's wings trembled. "That's proof," John nodded. "And now we send it to the galaxy." The next morning, news exploded across the galactic net. A leak, a secret message. A human cadet had survived an assassination attempt. The attackers were Sarkin. The target? A soldier once erased from war records. The footage from Bara 5 followed. This time, the full version. It showed John fighting like a storm. Then it showed something shocking. Earth warships arriving, advanced and silent, taking out Sarkin fleets with ease. And finally, council ships leaving, refusing to help. The truth was out. The galaxy started asking questions. On a distant council world, the High Council met in panic. One said, "We should have erased him when we had the chance." Another growled, "Now! Everyone knows what Earth is capable of." A third asked, "What if Earth decides to reveal more secrets?" The council leader slammed his staff. "Find that human, capture him, or destroy him, before the galaxy listens." Inside the academy, John was called to Commander Drex's office. Drex stood behind his desk, arms crossed. The large screen behind him showed galactic headlines. "You leaked the footage," Drex said. "Yes," John answered. Drex stared at him for a long time. "You broke laws?" "I told the truth." Drex sighed. "I warned the council not to bury Barafi. They didn't listen." John was surprised. "You knew?" "I was there," Drex said quietly. "I saw you fight. I saw what Earth did, and I saw how they erased it." John's voice was calm. "Then help me." Drex nodded slowly. "You'll need protection, allies, and a ship. I have friends. You'll need more. John asked, "Will you stop me?" Drex smiled. "No. In fact, I'll buy you time." John stood. "Thank you, Commander," Drex whispered. "Go make them afraid again." John met Velra, Krizik, and Dalen in the hangar. They stood beside a small stealth-class scout ship. Velra grinned. "It's fast-armed and doesn't show up on most radars." Krizik added, "Stole it from the Academy's Black Ops Bay. Hope they don't mind." Prince Dalen saluted. "Our mission begins." John looked at them all. "You don't have to follow me." Velra stepped forward. "We do," Krizik buzzed. "You're not just a soldier anymore. You're a symbol now." Dalen nodded. "A symbol of truth." John smiled for the first time in weeks. "Then let's show the galaxy who we are." The ship's engines hummed, the hangar doors opened, and they flew into the stars. The small stealth-class scout ship sliced through space like a shadow. Inside the ship, John Wren sat in the pilot's seat, staring at the stars. His eyes were focused, but his thoughts were heavy. Next to him, Velra adjusted the ship's sensor systems. Prince Dalen monitored long-range communications, while Krizik tapped quickly on the ship's console, slicing through data firewalls. Each of them knew they were no longer just cadets. They were now fugitives. And the entire Galactic Council was hunting them. Back on the galactic capital planet, inside the giant black glass council tower, the council members were angry. The leak had spread everywhere. News channels across the galaxy were running the same story. The human ghost lives. Worse, the full war footage was now public. It showed how Earth had ended the Sarkin uprising while the council watched and did nothing. The head of the council, a silver-skinned alien named High Consul Retek, slammed his hand on the table. "We told Earth to stay out of that war. They disobeyed, and now they're turning the galaxy against us." Another council member, a large slug-like creature, hissed, "They're not just showing the past, they're building a new future." A third whispered, "That human must be erased." Retek nodded. "Prepare the hunter fleet. Send them to the last known location. Destroy the ship. Make it look like pirates. And if Earth responds," someone asked. "Let them," Retek said coldly. "They've hidden in the shadows long enough. It's time we remind them who rules this galaxy." Far from the council's towers, John's group landed on a rocky desert moon called Targa 7. The colony there was small and old. Most of the people were ex-soldiers. Some were broken, some were quiet. All of them remembered war. John walked through the dusty streets with Velra beside him. The people stared at him. Not with fear, but with recognition. An old four-armed soldier limped toward him. His face was scarred. His eyes were sharp. "You're the one from Bara Fif," the man said. "I saw you in the vids." John nodded. "I need help." The man smiled. "Then you came to the right place." Inside a metal bunker, John met a small group of veterans, alien warriors who had been abandoned during the Sarkin uprising. They fought alongside humans in secret. They remembered Earth's silent help. One of them, a gruff lizard-like female named Karza, looked John up and down. "I saw you once," she said. "You were a ghost then, too." John explained what had happened since the Academy, the councils, cover-up, the assassination attempts, and the coming fleet. Karza bared her teeth. "So now they want to erase you again. Typical." John asked, "Will you help us?" Karza looked at the others. "We're old, but we're not done yet." She leaned in. "You want to fight back? Then let's hit them where it hurts." Back. On the ship, Krizik found something in the data they stole from the Sarkin assassins. "Guys," he said, "I just cracked their command chip logs." Dalen asked, "What's in them?" "Coordinates," Krizik replied. "Not just for you. John, there's a list of Earth operatives hidden across the galaxy. Soldiers like you. Silent ghosts." John's heart raced. "How many?" Krizik showed the screen. "At least 23. Velra leaned forward. They're still alive? Maybe, Krizik said. But the council knows where they are. John stood. Then we saved them. All of them. The team launched their ship again. They had a new mission: reach the hidden Earth operatives before the council did. Their first stop, a frozen mining planet called Crix 9. According to the files, one of John's old unit members, a woman named Kira, had been living under a false name, working as a mechanic. But when they arrived, the colony was on fire. Ships burned in the sky. Buildings crumbled. People screamed and ran. Council hunter drones flew through the streets, blasting everything. John's face turned cold. We're too late. No, Velra said. There's still time. The ship landed in the chaos. John jumped out first, running through the smoke. He remembered this kind of scene. It was just like the old days. War had come again. But this time, he wasn't alone. Velra flew above, scanning the area. She's in the mechanic hall, east corner. Krizik covered their backs, shooting down 2 drones with precise shots. Dalen threw a flash bomb to clear a path. John kicked down the door of the hall and found her, Kira, covered in ash, holding a plasma torch like a weapon. She looked up, shocked. John? He smiled. Come on. We've got a galaxy to wake up. They escaped the burning colony with Kira on board. She told them what happened. Council ships arrived out of nowhere, said they were checking for pirates. Then they started destroying everything. John clenched his fists. They're not just hiding the past anymore. They're erasing everyone who knows the truth, Kira asked. Why now? Velra replied, because John made the galaxy listen. And now they're scared. John looked at the stars. Then we keep going. They jumped to system after system, saving more members of John's old unit. Some were hiding as farmers, some were prisoners. One was even a monk on a peaceful world. Each of them had a different story. But when they saw John, they all said the same thing. We thought you were dead. And John always answered, not yet. Soon they had a crew, not just students anymore, but real warriors, and not just humans. Aliens who had fought with Earth, colonists who had seen the truth, smugglers who hated the council, scientists who had evidence of war crimes. It wasn't just a rescue mission now. It was a movement, a rebellion. Back on the council world, High Consul Raytek stared at the growing chaos. Planets were rising. Protests were starting. Systems were refusing council orders, all because of one human. Raytek growled, I want him dead. He slammed his fist down. Send the fleet, not just hunters, warships. Let the galaxy see what happens to traitors. But it was too late. John's team had reached the deep net communications core on a pirate world. There, they connected the last piece, a full digital record of the secret Earth operation from the Sarkhan uprising. All of it. Names, missions, council, betrayal, planet coordinates, orders to abandon colonies, and video evidence. John stared at the upload screen. Velra asked, Are you sure? John said nothing. He just pressed the button. Upload complete. Broadcasting to all systems. Across the galaxy, every screen lit up. People saw the truth. The war Earth fought, the soldiers they trained, the lives they saved, the lies the council told, the betrayal, and one human who refused to stay silent. In homes, in ships, in academies, in palaces, billions watched. Some wept, some shouted, some picked up weapons, and the council, they panicked. The dark sky above the asteroid colony was filled with tension. Ships from the Galactic Council hovered above, their weapons locked and ready. Inside the underground base, John stood beside his alien friends, his face calm, but his heart steady like a soldier before battle. They're coming, said Ziri, the telepathic Withari medic. She could feel the Council's fear and determination pressing against her mind like a cold wave. They want to finish it. This time. They will destroy everything. Tarak, the insectoid pilot, clicked his claws. We've no fleet, no heavy guns. Only this old rock and ourselves. John looked around the room at his friends, his allies. He had never planned to fight again. He had come to the academy to learn, to live peacefully. But peace was not a gift. It had to be protected. And now, the council had shown its true face. They wanted to erase him, erase the truth. I'm done hiding, John said. I won't let them erase my people's sacrifice, not again. His voice was quiet, but in that silence, his words hit like a war drum. Everyone stopped. Rhea, the noble Avax warrior, placed her hand on her sword. Then we make our last stand here, together. No, John said. We're not alone. Far beyond the colony in the darkness of space, something stirred. A ripple appeared in hyperspace. Then a crack opened like a wound in the stars. From that wound, a massive ship emerged, black as night, silent as a tomb, the human dreadnought. It was like no other ship the galaxy had seen. Its armor looked like it was forged from asteroid steel. Its hull carried no symbols, no flags, just the weight of silence. But to those who had seen war, they knew. This was a weapon made for one purpose only: destruction. Inside the Council command ship, alarms screamed, unidentified vessel. It's not in any registry. It's broadcasting no signal, no ID. Should we fire? The commander stared at the screen. The human ship was still, but every instinct screamed danger. One shot could mean war. One move could mean the end. Then a message came through all frequencies, a simple voice, calm, human. This cadet is one of ours. If you want him, you'll have to go through all of us. The galaxy stopped breathing. Inside the asteroid base, John heard the message. His eyes widened. They came, he whispered. Ziri placed a hand on his shoulder. You didn't call them. But they came anyway. Humanity doesn't leave its own behind. John swallowed hard. The last time he saw a human dreadnought, it was during the Sarkhan uprising. It had turned the sky red, Tarak hissed in awe. Is that Earth's reply? John nodded. Yes, this is our answer to their silence. No more hiding, no more secrets. The council held an emergency meeting in orbit. Some wanted to fight. Others warned it would lead to total war. Humanity was supposed to be primitive, one shouted. They were never primitive, another said. We were just blind. On the screen, the dreadnought still waited. Then more signals appeared, smaller ships dropping out of hyperspace, human escorts, human stealth cruisers, human medics, all silent, all waiting, a fleet, but not an attack force, a shield. They didn't come to destroy. They came to protect one human cadet. Council Command had a choice: fire, and start a war, or back down. And let the truth be known. The commander took a deep breath, then issued the order. All ships, stand down. The dreadnought did not move, but it sent a new message. Humanity will not be erased. The truth belongs to all. John Wren will return to the academy, unharmed, protected, witnessed. A few days later, the academy gates opened again. The transport shuttle landed quietly on the landing pad. John stepped out in his cadet uniform, the same as before. But everything had changed. Alien cadets, teachers, and even generals stood in silence as he walked past. No one laughed this time. No one looked away. They had seen the footage. They had seen the truth. And they had seen the dreadnought in the sky. One teacher finally spoke. Welcome back, Cadet Wren. John nodded. I never left, he said. In the following weeks, the story spread like wildfire across the galaxy. News channels played the old war footage again. But this time, they didn't laugh. They called it the day the council fell silent. John became a symbol, not of war, but of truth. of loyalty, of power hidden behind peace. He didn't want fame. He didn't seek revenge. He only returned to his studies, walking the halls like every other cadet. But now, when he entered a room, it always fell quiet, not out of fear, but out of respect. One day, Rhea asked him, "What will you do after graduation? Become a commander?" John smiled softly. "I don't know. Maybe teach," she laughed. "You? The most feared human soldier? A teacher?" John shrugged. "Someone has to teach the truth. About Earth. About sacrifice. About why we fight. Not to rule, but to protect." On the last day of the year, the Academy showed the war footage again. Just like before, the lone armored soldier appeared on screen, facing an entire army. Except this time, no one laughed. No one scoffed. They watched in silence as the soldier fought, as smoke rose, and as he vanished into the mist. Then the screen faded to black. Underneath, new words appeared. John Wren, human cadet warrior, witness, one of us. And in every corner of the galaxy, people remembered that day in the classroom, when the room fell quiet because the cadet was the human in the war footage.